Okay, we are back. Oh, W Gaffer, thanks so much for the follow. We should thank Alifen for the fact that I was doing Haskell on the stream. That's kind of, that was not intended. Like, one of the kind of channel rewards we have is that if people spend enough points, they can compel me to do one of these challenges in a language of their choice. And I guess Ali must hate me because they chose Haskell, which I've never really touched in my life. But luckily we got like a factorial, right, which is like one of the classic functional programming examples people always use. So yeah, it kind of worked out. So just to finish off what we're actually trying to work on this stream, we're creating a Discord bot whereby you can give it a load of like canned responses that it can give, but rather than just responding to people randomly, people have to kind of investigate and uncover the things that it knows, and it will only respond with something if you've already like name dropped the appropriate things, right? So basic logic is we have various responses. I'm calling it breadcrumbs here, like breadcrumbs of knowledge, which it can drop. So this simple one has no prerequisites, right? So it can always say hello world to you. It can also always say faction X exists to you. That has no prerequisites either. But in order for it to reveal to you that faction X are in fact meanies, is my font too small, by the way? Is this readable? I don't know. You need to have somehow uncovered knowledge of faction X. And the way you do that is by using the correct keywords in your messages to it. So if anyone ever says faction X or the X's, this is kind of rough and not super robust right now, but if anyone uses these in any message to it, yeah, if you hang around, then you can subject me to more Haskell. Or Lisp, God forbid you force me to do Lisp, because I do not think I would see the other side of that. Yeah, so basically if anyone mentions faction X, presumably because they saw the bot mention it previously, then they kind of unlock this little nugget of knowledge. Does it do TCL? I'm not even gonna I hope not. Yeah, so then if anyone mentions it, then knowledge of faction X is now considered like known. It ultimately gets added to this sort of set, essentially, of things that the community has uncovered, and now this is like eligible to be one of the bot's kind of random responses. So by doing this, the idea is that you kind of uncover this like web of knowledge of, ultimately we'll fill this with like factions and people and events. So it's kind of like a questioning investigation game bot, I suppose. And the purpose of doing this is that it ties into our main sort of game project we're working on called Steamhounds, which you can see, you know, in our sort of background here. We want to add some like lore specific to that game into our Discord, so people have a way to kind of play around and uncover that, which we think will be fun. So the basic thing is working. So if I restart this now, our knowledge is kind of now a blank slate. I can say, I can @ our bot, and it will tell me stuff based on my current sort of knowledge, which is basically just either hello world or hey, faction X exists. But if I now say, like, tell me then it will now put into the rotation information that's dependent on like faction X, right? Because I've like unlocked this little prerequisite. Asking about that. Then it's now put stuff into the rotation, which is like more detail. So I think, nope, that probably didn't match my no TCL, but Bash, Pascal, Perl, Groovy, and Clojure in there. Okay, so I've done a bit of Bash and Groovy, Pascal, Perl. I've looked at the Perl script and then immediately ran the hell out of there. Should probably add some more. Okay, so I didn't use the correct keywords, so bot. So like, how are faction X mean? Okay, so now this gets into the rotation, and now if I just at the bot generally, it's going to parrot all the like known information about the world. OCaml. I've heard of OCaml. What is it? Is it like a markup thing? Industrial strength. Multi-paradigm. Yeah, that's pretty unreadable to me, to be honest. Kotlin. Yeah, so it's used for Android apps, right? It's now like pretty much the recommended thing for Android. So it's probably a few weeks ago I was looking for a new language to get into, and Kotlin was one of the ones which I like researched a bit, so I went a bit through their like the guide to Kotlin, and it seems cool. But I've already used Java a lot. I don't care to learn more like JVM stuff. I've spent so many years doing that. Go seemed a bit more exotic and exciting, so I ended up picking Go over Kotlin specifically. Okay, so it's like functional, but you can like make structs and stuff. Is that the idea? I don't know. So, okay, a couple of things I wanted to do was to not just hard code all of this data, but have it like loaded from disk. So what I want to do is load this from a file, and the way I'll do this is I'm going to use Go's rather good standard library to use the JSON decoder. I think I can do how do I do this from a file stream? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I probably want some IO stuff. Oh. The annoying thing is if I add an import and then don't use it and then save, the like linter basically just strips it out. So I need to make sure I... Also in Go you cannot have an import which you don't use, which is like super strict, but actually kind of nice. Can mix Java and Kotlin code in the same project. Cuts a lot of the weird... Yeah, okay, so does it do like the null safe dereference, like that kind of deal? Yeah. It looked pretty cool, like it looked neat. It looked like just more pleasant to use. Okay. One annoying thing here is the autocomplete in VS Code is kind of slow. Oh. doesn't return an error. That's kind of rare. Code. Okay. So what I probably want to do is put these breadcrumbs and stuff into like a wrapping struct, so I can more easily kind of deserialize it. Which means these probably need to be capitals so that they're public. Kind of quirky, but it does work. That's how public-private work can go. Otherwise, JSON won't be able to see them. So, what is the law? It is a breadcrumbs, and it is a way around again. Keywords like that. Actually, it probably doesn't need to be public. So I'm just wrapping these things up so that the JSON thing can like deserialize them all at once and know what everything means. Okay. Just take the address of this thing. Okay. Okay, so we're going to open up a file, throw the error back up if there is one. We're going to wrap it in like a buffered reader. That's kind of what that is. Then we're going to create a JSON decoder and decode it into this law dealy, which means this is not needed anymore. Ultimately, I kind of want to be able to save this knowledge as well. Yeah, it's like error returns, but unlike, it's kind of like C in that you'd return an error code, but since you can do multiple returns, you generally return the result and an error. An error is a type, or technically it's an interface, but it's kind of a weird thing to get into. Go has a weird way of handling like interfaces and inheritance, like, and even like it's not like other things where you create a class and then say this implements some interface. Things implicitly implement an interface if they have the correct set of methods, if that makes sense. So like this reader returns a reader, and what is a reader? It's anything with a read method. So you can make something, or you can make an interface, and things will like retroactively conform to that interface if they have the right named method, which is actually kind of cool. You can do some interesting stuff with that. Or pool. Okay. So now I'm just loading this kind of from disk. I also want to say origin equals make. I kind of want to make is essentially like initializing this thing. Ultimately, I'd kind of like to load and save that as well. We can do that later, perhaps. Just get this working first. So we're going to load this from disk, and now here we kind of want to take it from this new wrapped thing which we've made. And now a lot more of these things have capital letters because they need to be in the JSON, which means they need to be public, which means they need capital letters. It's kind of weird. But again, as I said, it kind of does what it needs to. Are we all good? I think we're all good. Let's make a JSON file, put this stuff in. So what does this need? It needs, can I do tabby stuff? Yes. So it needs breadcrumbs. And it needs keywords. Yeah, Go doesn't really have exceptions either. You can do like a super hard exception, which is like panic, which is like an assertion fail pretty much. But generally speaking, you have to, it just forces you to handle errors like right there and then. And you can like wrap them and like add messages to them. I think all error is as well is something which it's an interface which has like a, you have to be able to get a string from it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like it's a different like paradigm in a lot of these things, but what it causes is like it doesn't have crazy inheritance hierarchies because you just cannot do that. You have to like do composition and things stay very flat. Yeah, you get the sense that it's based on like experience, that, you know, it's opinionated, but it's based on like practical experience, the why they've done it this way. Okay, so when we want to create a breadcrumb, it needs text. And this was hello world. It needs prerequisites. Which for hello world, you can always say that. We've kind of stopped using these reveals now in favor of the user needing to mention something themselves to like unlock it in the knowledge pool, if you like. But maybe there are different cases where you want to use that. We've still got the feature, you know. See, this is where I wish I could just have trailing commas, because it's so much nicer. Okay. I don't think you need to see this. I've just got it here for reference for like the field names and stuff. Yeah, right, you do. There's some friction, but once you embrace it and get used to it. What I'm doing, by the way, with this naming is I'm imagining that there's some whole hierarchy of like factions and people and facts about them or whatever, like some convention here. No null is awesome. Yeah. Okay. I'm interested to see how Haskell actually handles errors. And then, so keywords. So keywords had, a keyword has a set of triggers. When's the writer coming on board? So we have a writer, and they are high-level, hot shit writers. Yeah, I can't really say too much more, but we're working with some very talented, experienced people on the writing front. But we can't afford to have them write this stuff, basically. That's about how it goes. So the reveal is faction X. You know, we could think about different ways of people could say this. I think rather than exhaustively listing them, I'd probably actually want to have like some nested thing where it's like if they use the word X and faction, but too much work for now to do that. And it pains me to do the X apostrophe S because it's grammatically incorrect, but I know people will say that, so I'll put it in there. Faction X on minis. Probably faction X on mean is enough. Yeah, it'd be nicer to have a nicer language here. I could do like some OR type thing, but you know, this works. So I think that's that. Let's check if this is loaded properly. Let's make sure we initialize this. Okay, so we can initialize that. We're going to open that file. Did not get an error. Did we get an error here? We did not. Nice, okay. Kind of impressed I got the JSON right first time. So we have our breadcrumbs. Yeah, seem to be good. So that's now been loaded from this. And that's static, right? That's just like the input data, so that doesn't need to be persisted back out. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the keyword matching needs to be a bit more robust, I think, but sequencing is there, right? And it's kind of revealing knowledge piece by piece. Awesome. So maybe the last thing is to have it save and load the... Yes, we want to load and save this knowledge pool as well. So what is the knowledge pool? It's a map. Okay, I kind of want to load it just from a list, most likely. So knowledge pool, the law pool. Let's call it the knowledge store file name apps. We'll probably want to save that. Get some shadowing. How do we handle that? We actually want some similar code from how we load our token. Knowledge. Okay. We can do that. How do I open something for writing? You know what? I'm just going to do this as a JSON array because kind of easier that way. Then I can just use something. Also, for these comments, the convention is that I think it will tell me, right? should have a comment, and the comment should start with the name of the thing, and then this becomes like the, like the on hover documentation. It's all just like in the code like that. That kind of forces you to document to some extent. Although what I'm going to write now is not great documentation. Oh, hey Yuta, I just noticed you in there. Is that worthy of poggers? Yeah, so we're working on this bot, in case you didn't realize. I'm about to wrap up. I'm just having it like be able to save and load its kind of data when it starts up, stuff like that. And I'm just gonna use JSON to do this for me. Faction X and meanies, it's been established, it's in the official law, that's canon now, so what are we gonna do? Okay. I'm just gonna be super hacky and I'm just gonna save this thing after every message rather than figuring out if anything has changed. Exactly, you can't steal candy from babies and be good people. Okay, will this work or will this crash horribly? Oh, did not like that. When I initialize the brain, I should make sure to give it what it wants. Yeah, real objectionable. The whole manifesto is just okay. Okay. Okay, seems to be working. If we now also check this, we will see that it appears to not have written anything. What's going on there? Oh, I bet we're getting an error. Okay. I mean, that's possible, Yuta, right? Like, as we get into the deep lore of other factions, that's the kind of thing I'd like to be able to build into this, right? That you could have, you find out that Faction X steal candy from babies, but then through another path you can find out that somebody's been blackmailing Faction X, and then you can find out who they are and who put them up to it and all of that kind of thing. We create this whole tangled web of like lore, and then the bot allows you to kind of explore that and uncover that piece by piece. That's the idea. This is just like placeholder stuff, but we want it to work like that. Oh no, your country balls game. Like, how far did you get? Like, what stage was it? Was it at in the end? Am I missing something here? I'm kind of suspicious that it didn't have me open a file in a particular mode. Unless... Oh. Something like this? Am I not closing something? Or do I just say... Do I need to flush this or something? What's happening here? Is that like an open for write? Ah, okay. Open the file for reading. So I need to do open for writing. File. Okay, take it easy, man. Yeah, like that map of questions and answers is exactly the kind of thing we ultimately need to build. Oh, I can just do create, right? Creates or truncates, that makes sense. We may do, or we may just load this stuff in like in the background, if that makes sense. Oh, interesting. Like now we've got the bot. Interesting. Do I have loads of processes somehow running? Something like that. Let me try closing. I bet we're hitting some weird networking or like a rate limiting thing. Okay, I think I have to call it here. We will trust that this works, and I will make, if not, I'll make this work another time. But we have our lovely bot. It was able to load this stuff from the disk, and now it's pretty much just a case of yeah, just adding more stuff, right, and actually populating this and doing the whole creative writing exercise of populating this whole web of interacting lore and information and stuff. And I think this could be a fun little thing for people to play around with on the Discord. In terms of how we'd extend this, I think first of all we need better like matching for these keywords, because it's just not flexible enough. I'd have to put so many different combinations I want to be able to match faction X and like meanies in any position in a message, probably. I would also want some kind of like rate limiting, maybe. So maybe the bot would only say new stuff when like a new person joins the server, or when a new person speaks to it, or when X number of times per day that a given person speaks to it. We could also get further and say, maybe you should be able to DM the bot and have your own little game state, which is separate from the like big public one on the server. So there's a few things we can do, but I'm pretty pleased with the foundation we got here. It seems to do the job, and I think you could already make something kind of fun and interesting out of this in like a cool like investigative text adventure style thing. So yeah, I will draw the picture of the bot once again because it's kind of cool. How about a Dungeons and Dragons game? So there's that virtual like AI-based DM thing, right? That's pretty cool. I think to make it really good would be hard. What I like about this is it's all just asking it questions and saying things, so you can build this whole web of knowledge, and you can actually have some interesting like storytelling going on. But the bot itself is super dumb. It just parrots stuff, and it notices, oh, they said this word, so now I'm allowed to unlock new responses. So it's way easier than actually having like a Dungeons and Dragons AI properly, because it doesn't need to react to situational stuff, right? It's super simple. It's all in like the web of stuff which you create. Cool. Okay, I will say goodbye. Thanks everyone, and I will see you next time.